Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I hope everyone is doing great wherever they are and looking after themselves. And you guys are looking after the people around you as well. So, inshallah, in today's video, we're going to be discussing Surah Ad-Duha, which is an amazing surah. If you are going through any stress, any depression in your life, any hardship, this is one surah which is going to uplift your spirits. If you read this, this is going to give you loads of motivation. This is going to be one inspiring surah in your life that I would say hold on to it tight every time you're going through any problems in your life, any trouble in your life. Pick up Quran, open this surah and read this surah. This is going to be immensely benefit you in your life in that time when you're going through very hard time. This is going to really help you. So let's begin. So the greatest way to feel good in your heart is to recite this surah, because this is the most amazing surah which actually, in the Quran, it actually tells you to how to be positive and feel good about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So shall I tell you about Surah Duha in a way which probably you never heard it. So Surah Ad-Duha was revealed when Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not receive any revolution for 6 months, and he didn't receive any dreams. Jibreel alayhi salam did not come down to give him any revolution. So he felt that maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maybe is not happy with him, and maybe Allah does not want him to be Nabi anymore. So at that time, this surah was revealed. In my life as well, sometimes there are some days in life, in everyone's life, I would say you probably could relate to me as well, when you feel down, when your salah is not, I feel like sometimes my salah is not that connected. I'm not getting any impact, any, in my heart from my salah. I'm not feeling very spiritual I'm not spiritually connected when I'm actually reading salah. So that is also a very good time to open the Quran and read this surah, mashallah. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam probably, he felt like Allah is not happy with him, but that's the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sent this surah. And so he said that was the first line of surah. I'm actually going to read this. And he said, and the first line was, by forenoon after sunshine, Ad-Duha. That was the first line of this surah. This was when this, you will say this to someone when they're going through a depression. You will say to them, wake up, see the sunlight. It's not all doomed. And there is life, and there is a brighter side to life. So wake up, it's not all darkness, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So this is what happens when somebody is going through depression and they don't actually see from the other side. But I think it's very important for any of us, if somebody is going through a depression, someone's going through hardship, I think do connect to them, do find out how they're keeping up, and definitely advise them to read this surah. So the next verse is, by the night when it darkens and stands still. So what Allah's trying to say here is, wake up. This is a time when you should think positive. And then in the verse 3 he says, Your Lord, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, neither forsaken nor he hates you. So that's the answer when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam felt that Allah's probably not happy with him. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, we neither forsaken you nor neither we hate you. So um again, I think in our lives as well, Allah does not hate us. He just probably sometimes he gives us trials. I think everyone goes through their trials, everyone goes through their um you know through their hardships just to come closer to Allah. So I think it's very important that we remember that in our hearts. Okay, so verse number 4 is, and indeed the hereafter is better for you than the present life of this world. So, as we already know that as Muslims, our belief is that this life is temporary life for us. We're not gonna be permanent resident here in this life. What we have to think about is hereafter. That is our permanent resident, and we need to work harder to get there. And how we work hard is to focus our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how we are how we are well connected spiritually, well connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then in verse number 5, he says, and verily your Lord will give you all good, so you shall be well pleased. So again, it says here, like, after doomsday, there is a light of end of the tunnel. So this life may not be as you want in this life. I'll just say I'll just talk about my experience. I would say at times when I feel like, oh my God, this life is, when you go through the hardships, you just get a little hopeless at times. So, but this is a very good verse to ponder on. You need to actually go through this verse and think to yourself, no, maybe, okay, I might not get everything in this life, but I have a hope that inshallah I'm going to get everything in the hereafter. So, and the verse number 6 is, then he says, did he not find you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, an orphan and gave you refuge? So this goes to show that when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was found orphan, and did not Allah provide you with the provisions? And at times when when we are young, if you reflect on our lives, when you're young, when you have no one to take care of you, when you're sick you have no one to take care of you. Who take care of you? Who makes you feel better? Who gives you the shifa? That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does that, doesn't he? So that's another very good verse. And then verse number 7 is, and he found you unaware of the Quran, its laws and prophethood, and guided you. So basically what this verse is trying to say is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you a Nabi. He guided you to Islam. And if I think about my life, I can actually relate to this verse here, is that when I wasn't a practicing Muslim, when I wasn't practicing Islam as much as I should have been in the first place, as being born Muslim, as being Muslims, I should have been, listening to Allah's command. And I wasn't doing my hijab back in the days, back in my Jahiliyyah's days. I really, really do regret those days. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His will, by His mercy, alhamdulillah, He brought me, He guided me, He gave me another chance to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I cannot thank Him enough for this opportunity. Verse number 8 is, and He found you poor and made you rich, self-sufficient and self-contentment. So at times when, for example, if somebody doesn't have a job, if somebody doesn't have a means to, meet their day-to-day expenses, But it is Allah at the end of the day who's already have written your provision. Allah knows how you're gonna get your risk. Allah knows how you're gonna get your job. I think it's all about having that um, faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at the end of the day, carry on with your salah, carry on making your du'as. You know, du'a is a very, very powerful tool. So never ever stop praying to Allah, never ever stop making du'as to Allah. So du'a can be a very powerful tool. So verse number 9 is, therefore treat not the orphan with oppression. So again, we have been advised not to treat orphan badly, because orphan is someone who probably doesn't have anyone to look after. Nobody looks after that person, that child. So, you know, be nice to them, be kind to them, look after them. Verse number 9, and repulse not the beggar. And again, two things here are very important. Look after the orphans, and if somebody comes to you, ask you for something, or maybe a beggar, or maybe even someone who's in the need of anything really, do not send them empty-handed. Verse number 11, and proclaim the grace of your Lord, the prophethood and all the graces. So mashallah, this is an amazing surah, and there's so much to learn from this surah. I would highly recommend this surah for anyone who is going through any hardship in their lives. Please do listen to this surah, do read this surah. What I normally tend to do is every single morning, after my Fajr prayer, I do tend to read this surah, and it gives me a sense of positivity in the morning for the whole day. So then I know that my day will be fine, inshallah. So if you get into this habit of reading surah, or reading any surah, reading Quran in the morning, get habit of reading Quran in the morning. That's really helpful. So I hope everyone liked this video, and I see you guys very soon. Thank you.